We're on page 16, inshallah. Bismillah.
Ignorance. As for ignorance, it is the origin of all evil.
So what we were talking about are the several obstacles. In particular, Imam Haddad will use 4 obstacles. These 4 obstacles are the things that prevent you and prevent a person being complete in his iman, a complete believer. A person may have these 4 things and is still Muslim. He may be ignorant, still Muslim. He may incline towards his lower desires, still Muslim, and so forth. But he's not complete. He's not a complete mu'min. And what we're talking about here is trying to reach, as best as possible, perfecting our characteristics in accordance with the way of the Prophet by following him and being as close to him as we can. To this end, Imam Haddad mentioned ignorance as 1, weak iman as 2, long hopes as 3, and 4, eating haram and things from sources that are uncertain as to the legitimacy of those sources, whether halal or not. So he's going to talk now about ignorance and break it down. Bismillah.
Ignorant folk are as weak as the Prophet saying, the world is accursed, and the cursed one is in it, except the remembrance of God and the learned and those learning.
And so ignorance is a foundation for lots of evil. In fact, ignorance is the very foundation for all evil. Why do people do haram? Why do people do wrong? Why do people backbite? Why do people slander? Why do people have a bad opinion? Why do people do all this haram, kill and do all these things? Ignorance. And we say, people may know that doing certain things are haram. Yes, drinking alcohol is haram. People still do it. Yes, killing people is haram. People still do it. Why? Because there's ignorance of knowing and remembering at that moment in time, look, if you do this, this will happen. So at that moment in time, they're ignorant of the effects that has on them, or they choose to forget. And the dunya, mal'una. This world is cursed. Mal'un ma fiha. Curse what is in it. Illa dhikrullah. Illa dhikrullah. Except for the remembrance of Allah. And, in this one narration, a knowledgeable person and those who are studying. Which means that the opposites, a person who's not knowledgeable, then he is somebody who's cursed in this world.
It is said that when God created ignorance, he said to it, come, but it moved away. He said to it, go, but it came. Then he said, by my might I have created nothing in creation more hateful to me than you, and I shall place you amongst the worst of my creation.
SubhanAllah, this is ignorance. Allah created ignorance. He told ignorance to come, and he went away. He told it to go away, and move closer. Hasha, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a body of a form that can be drawn near to physically. I'm not saying that. But the issue is that you tell it to do one thing, it does something else. You tell it to do the other thing, it'll do something else. That's the dunya. And Allah said, how cursed this is. The jahl.
Ali, may God honor his countenance, said, there is no enemy worse than ignorance, and man is the enemy of that which he has no knowledge of.
Allah. La aduwa a'ada min al-jahl. No enemy greater than the enemy of ignorance. وَالْمَرُ عَدُوَ مَا جَهِلَ. And a person is the enemy of that which he has no knowledge of. La ilaha illallah. How many people have animosity and hatred of that which of the unknown, that which they don't understand? And sometimes they think they understand and want to attack and criticize, certain things, issues, or people. They don't even understand that person. Take the time to go understand. Don't understand the person or the people or whatever or the view from people who are talking about them. Go to the person, go to the horse's mouth and say, can you explain to me this, and this? But many people don't do that. Only and that's a sign of sincerity when a person comes and says, can you explain to me this? And here, even if the whole world is saying something, you go to the horse's mouth and hear what the person is saying. How many examples do we have in our day-to-day affairs? People now say about Islam, terrorism, and then when they come across Muslims, what happens? They're different. They don't want to kill us. In fact, they're scared like us. They're just as scared as me. In fact, sometimes some Muslims are even more scared than non-Muslims. SubhanAllah, they're very human. In fact, my doctor, he's been curing me for 10 years, my family doctor, is a Muslim. I didn't know, SubhanAllah. In fact, my banker, my accountant, my neighbour, they're all Muslims. They don't know until they meet people. People explain. But only those who are sincere, Allah puts it in their hearts. Like Allah wants good for certain people. He puts it in their heart to go find out, go find the truth. And what happens? They become Muslim or they become closer. And those who Allah Azza wa Jalla does not want good for, Allah doesn't put it in their hearts.
Ignorance is blameworthy according to both textual and rational proof. Its harm is hardly unknown to anyone. An ignorant man succumbs to neglecting obligations and committing sins, whether he wishes to or not.
That's why understanding, if you go to any traditional school, whether in the far west of Morocco or the far east of Indonesia, and everywhere in between, those traditional schools, when you go there and study, one of the first things they'll teach you, after you've been in Arabic, is your fard ayn. What's a fard ayn? How to worship Allah, basic fiqh. What's wajib, what's fard, how to pray, how to do wudu, how to do these type of things. And then the basic text on the aqidah. Basic text, aqidah al-awal, and so forth. They teach you these things. And then you start going up into higher books. This is called fard ayn. Every Muslim, male and female, must know about how to worship Allah Azza wa Jalla, how to understand Allah and His Messenger, and use our aqidah. And a third text is a text on spirituality, which can look at Islam, Iman, and Ihsan. Islam is fiqh. أركان الإسلام 5. What is it? أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وإيتاء الزكاة وصلاة والزكاة وحج البيت من أستطاع إليه سبيلا. So what's that? It's fiqh. That's fiqh. طيب when you have what? أركان الإيمان أن تؤمن بالله وملائكته كتبه رسله واليوم الآخر, to believe in Allah, His angels, His books, the angels, last day, and so forth. Any book for Aqidah deals with these things. Any book for Aqidah will deal with the 6 principles, 6 Arkan al-Iman. Then you have the second or the third issue, Al-Ihsan, أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. To worship Allah as if you see Him. If you don't see Him, know that He sees you. Like how do you reach that state? That's where the books of Tazkiyah come in. The books of Tazkiyah, Yizaki. يعلمهم يزكيهم.
God has enjoined upon him no misdeeds. God has forbidden. Because one who is ignorant neither knows the obligations God has enjoined upon him, nor the misdeeds God has forbidden. A person can leave the shadows of ignorance only by the light of knowledge. How excellent are the works of Sheikh Ali ibn Abi Bakr when he said, ignorance is a fire that burns a man's religion, and its extinguishing water is knowledge. So you must learn what God has made incumbent for you to learn. You are not obliged to acquire extensive knowledge, but that without which your faith remains unsound, you must learn.
Like, what Imam Abd Alawi is saying, look, you have to know that which will keep you safe. Which is basically, how do you do wudu? 6 things of wudu. What are the sunnahs of wudu? Ghusl. Why is it wajib to do ghusl? You do that. And then, and how do you do ghusl? Very simple. Then you have salah. How do you pray? Simple things to do. Like, what are the sunnahs of salah? Like, what breaks my salah? Then you go into, after that, zakah. When do I have to give zakah? When? I don't have to give zakah. Fasting, how do I fast? The things I have to do to get my fast valid, the things I have to keep away from, for my fast to be valid. Then you go to what? You go to Hajj, if you want to go to Hajj. And then if you're going to get married, you have to know how to get married. You have to. What's the fire? The things you have to do, and the things to stay away from. What are the rights? And people don't know. And people, because of fiqh, lack of fiqh, people don't know anything. Fiqh is very, very important. Go to any traditional Muslim school, not the new modern schools, and focus on things that in traditional schools they divide at the end. Now certain schools where you go to them, an institution there, they'll give you Bukhari, or Bidayat al-Mujtahid. you know, the high books of, you know, of comparative fiqh. You know, the last thing you do. You don't go to a traditional school, you don't start reading Bukhari. You don't read Bukhari at the end, the last thing you do. But then, take what you need in order for you to worship Allah correctly. And if you want more, when the time comes, everyone should know how to do the fast, how to break the fast, what doesn't break the fast. Allah said, the hadith, مَنْ يُرِدْ اللَّهُ خَيْرًا يَفَقِّهُ فِي الدِّينِ. He who Allah wants good for, He gives him understanding of the deen.
So you must learn what God's made incumbent on you to learn. You are not obliged to acquire extensive knowledge, but without which your faith remains unsound, you must learn. Examples of these are the performance of your obligatory rites of worship, and how to avoid what is prohibited. This is an immediate duty with regards to immediate obligations. And for those matters that may be deferred, it is deferred duty. Malik ibn Dinar, may God have mercy on him, used to say, he who seeks knowledge for himself, a little will suffice him. But he who seeks knowledge for the people's needs are numerous.
عجيب. من طلب العلم لنفسه فالقليل منه يكفيه ومن طلب العلم للناس فحوائج الناس كثيرة. He who seeks knowledge for himself, you only need a little bit. You can learn your fard ayn in one weekend. One intensive weekend you can learn. You can learn your basic fiqh, your basic aqidah, and some tazkiyah in one weekend. People can do that. They have weekend intensives, yes?
The traditional
all over, one weekend. Otherwise, an hour a week for 6 weeks. So that's really, we get what we need. But what Malik bin Dinar is saying that if you're seeking knowledge in order to come back and teach your community, then simply a weekend is not going to be enough. Maybe several months, maybe several years, depending on how much you want to go into, which science you want to go into. All communities, they'll need 1 or 2 sciences in particular, in abundance. All communities will need a deep understanding of fiqh. Simply because the issues that you'll deal from day to day will be issues of halal and haram. Okay? Marriage issues, divorce issues, getting married, fasting and so forth. All the questions that will come to you will be issues of halal and haram. So you have to know, and sometimes you have to know, obviously you have to know one madhab, but sometimes you have to know opinions outside of your madhab to make things easy for people. The biggest issues that come to the Imam, me personally, the biggest issues are marriage and divorce. Hardly a week goes by unless there's like an issue of marriage and divorce. So you have to know in depth. You have to know the iddah period and so forth, and you have to know issues of hayd, which I don't know how. And what's the problem? People one of our sheikhs said one of the times, one of the signs of the end of time is that a person will go into a place of worship, will ask for a fatwa on divorce, or fatwa on marriage, or into the chapels. I won't find anybody able to answer him. As a Habib said in Shafii, one of the signs at the time, you go into a mosque and you ask a question, I won't find anybody who will give you the correct answer. Or even somebody can't even answer you. Naturally, we need people as part of that. We need people who always study. Very important. Any community to survive has to have people who are studying their knowledge. Have to. We have people who are doctors, engineers, people who are in business and IT. We have to have people who study their very important. A healthy society cannot function without having all the necessary people that everyone needs from day to day. A practicing Muslim will need a sheikh quite regularly. The practicing Muslim, the more you start practicing, the more you'll have a need for a personal knowledge. And the least practicing, at least, the less you'll have the need to have recourse. Because all these issues coming up. And until you get to a certain level of class, you know what to do, and your dependence on the Shaykh then decreases significantly. Only certain issues that happen, because same issues don't always happen. When they happen once, you know what to do. So, that's ignorance. Inshallah. Alhamdulillah, hopefully nobody here is ignorant of the Fard Ayn in the fiqh and the aqidah and the tazkiyah. This is it. We're getting tazkiyah of Fard Ayn in your ihsan. Ilm al-ihsan. And the ilm al-ihsan has many different names. Ilm al-ihsan, ilm al-tazkiyah, ilm al-tasawwuf. For people who get scared, they say ilm al-tasawwuf, they run away. If you don't want to use ilm al-tasawwuf, use ilm al-ihsan. Science of ihsan. How to reach a state of worship Allah as if we see Him. The second one, a weak iman, ضعف الإيمان.
Weakness of faith. Weakness of faith is an awful affliction from which many blameworthy things arise, like neglecting to act on what one knows, disregarding the enjoining of good and forbidding of evil, harboring hopes for forgiveness without striving for it, worrying about provision, fearing evil.
SubhanAllah. All these are side effects of weak iman. You have weak iman, you may have knowledge, you may leave acting by that knowledge. When you have weak iman, you leave the things that you know that are haram and do the things, and you do the things that are haram and do the things which you've been told to do. SubhanAllah. All these things, khawf al-khalq, fear of the creation. You have no fear except the fear of Allah, and fear of the creation. In the way that
Other unfortunate character traits. A person's observance of God's commands and prohibitions is only proportionate to the strength of his faith. The most obvious proof of a person's weakness in faith is his neglecting of injunctions and committing of contraventions. Every believer should strive to strengthen his faith, and there are three ways to do so.
We now know that weakness of iman, a weak iman, leads to doing many things that are not correct. And many of us from time to time will have strong iman, have weak iman. Some people in Ramadan, their iman gets strong, and after Ramadan, what happens? They start going to mosque, they stop doing all these things, they start going back, they start to go back to the things they used to do. How do we stop this? Three things we need. Bismillah.
Firstly, to mindfully listen to verses of the Quran and the statements of the Prophet ﷺ that reveal the promises of paradise, threats of hell, tidings of the hereafter, the stories of the prophets, what miracles they were confirmed with, what happened to their opponents.
These are the things that basically knowledge, ilm, which is overlap with the first one, to listen to the verses of Quran, come to classes. Why do we do classes? Why do we have classes? We ask Allah to make more people come to these classes, inshallah ta'ala, and people are listening, which is a good, and more people will continue to listen, inshallah ta'ala. But coming to classes will benefit you. Coming to the seerah class benefits. A lot of people come and benefit from the seerah class. They have their injection. Because in the khutbah, you only have 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You have to repeat the same thing you said in the first khutbah. So 20 minutes is not enough to give everybody, most times, 20 minutes is not enough in the khutbah to give people what they need. People have to have a bit more sacrifice and come, stay in the mosque between Maghrib and Isha for 1 month, for 1 week of the night. If you do several days, that's even better, and benefit. Have strong iman, inshallah. Listen to the Prophet, to see the Prophet. Listen to the hadith, listen to the verses of Quran, listen to the issues of fiqh and so forth. These will strengthen your iman. Because if you think about it, the rest of the week, it's all dunya. Work is dunya. If you think about college and school and children, everything is dunya. You're going to have something that's going to balance that. A Muslim should at least give 1 hour a week of his time outside of his work, lillah, for a class. Every Muslim should at least go to at least 1 class. At least. And we find those who are the strongest in iman will have several classes. Those who are strong in iman have more classes. Those weak, the weaker iman, the less classes you have. You take this, check yourselves. Which is a good sign, mashallah. You guys are regulars, mashallah. But people come and go. Always is fine. The iman, something wrong with the iman. Something wrong with the iman. Well, without any excuse. without any exception, those who tend to not have a good run in their classes, at that moment in time, there's something wrong with the iman. They're not practicing.
The most obvious proof of a person's weakness in faith is his neglecting of injunctions and committing of preventions. Every believer should strive to strengthen his faith. And there are three ways. Like that.
And the first, so halfway through the first.
Yeah. The miracles will happen to their opponents, the detachment from the world, and the ardent desire for the hereafter, which the virtuous predecessors possessed and other things handed down. The second is to observe and ponder the kingdom of the heavens and earth and what wondrous signs and beautiful creatures they contain. The third is subhanAllah.
The second basically is you just having tadabbur, thinking, think of Allah, look up, go to the sea, go to the bay, go to the outside, just look at the sky, look at the mountains, look at everything, and think, subhanAllah, Allah created this. Go out one night and just have a look by yourself and think, subhanAllah, who created me? Allah created me, my eyes, intricate details of my eyes, intricate details of my heart, how my heart functions, how all, there's several, there's hundreds of chemical reactions in our bodies which we have no control over, which if one of them stopped, we die. These things are all happening. That you need like a whole, if your body was a government, you'd have to have millions of people, working it. And all these things happen without us even having to think about it. Our eyes blink, our hearts beat, saliva's in our mouths, mashallah, the heart beats and contracts and so forth, the lungs and so forth, oxygen in, carbon dioxide out. All these things happen without us even thinking about it. It's like, who's doing all this? Nature, evolution, it's Allah. Allah Azza wa Jalla. The third
is to persevere in acts of goodness and to guard oneself from falling into sin and contravention. For faith is both words and deeds. It increases with obedience and diminishes with sin.
SubhanAllah. The more good deeds you do, the higher your iman becomes. The less good deeds you do, the lower your iman. That's how it works. More good deeds, more classes, more dhikr, more salawat, more sunnah. Your iman increases. But we have to do these, by the way. You don't fall into the trap of doing these things and your heart's not there. Because people can pray, people come to the mosque and they're still doing haram. Why? Because there's something deficient in the way they're praying. Something deficient in the way they're praying and the way they're fasting. Some people cheat, lie, and do haram things and they're still praying. They may be in the mosque all day. Why? Because the reality of their prayer, the reality of their fasting, the reality of their recitation of Quran, is far from the reality of what it should be.
All these we have just mentioned increase the faith and strengthen the certitude, and God is the helper.
At the end, Allah musta'an, Allah is what's going to help us. Which means that you can do these several things. You can do listening to the verses of the Quran, going to classes, you can look at creation and think and ponder and reflect, take time out. And you can do the third, continuously doing good deeds. However, at the end, it's Allah that's going to increase your iman. And you have to know that it's only Allah. Throw yourself at the doors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with good works and doing that which He has told you to do, and beg Allah Azza wa Jalla to open the door for you to go in and leave it to Him, inshaAllah. That's very important. So now, when you have weak iman, okay, it's going to be, by and large, one of these three things. So if you feel something's going wrong, trace it back to these three. It's either you're not listening to Quran, or not listening to circles of knowledge, or not attending circles of knowledge and pondering, or you're not having a deep reflection. SubhanAllah, why do you think sometimes people in prison, they become Muslim? Because they've got nothing else to do but reflect and ponder and think. And a lot of people become Muslim. On the outside, they're too busy with dunya, drugs, women, all these type of too busy, in crime, in their criminal life. But once they're within prisons, 4 walls, they have nothing else to think but tayyib. Was that all? Is there more to life than me trying to give in to my pleasures. And you start thinking, I'm reading. And what happens? They become Muslim. What happens? Iman increases. And the third thing is continuously doing good deeds. Continuously doing. Take the amount of deeds that you can do and do it continuously. Witr. If you can't do 11 rak'at of witr, which is the maximum, then do 3, but never leave it. Then Salat al-Duha. Very important, Salat al-Duha. Anybody as-salik, when traveling towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Salat al-Duha is very important. Salat al-Duha is 2 rak'at. In Madhab al-Shafi'i at 8. 8, in one opinion, is 8, the maximum. 2 rak'at in the morning. You have it 17 minutes when the sun is risen above the horizon. From 17 minutes when the sun is risen above the horizon up to midday, you have then to pray. So pray 2 rak'at in the morning. And this Salat al-Duha protects you from a lot of evil. Protects you from jinn, from sihr and ayn. Many people complain about ayn, got jinn, got sihr, and some people think they have it, and some people don't have it, and some people have it and don't even know they have it. What protects you from these type of things? Salat al-Duha. 2 rak'at, miss. And it aids you in increasing your provisions, your rizq. Salat al-Duha. A few good deeds continuously. Which is why a person giving 1 hour a week, after 2-3 years, can have a significant amount of knowledge. A drop of water on a stone, an hour, can't do anything. A drop of water on a stone, after 30 years, what happened to the stone? There'll be a hole in that stone. A drop of water. Continuous. It's a sign, of course. One of the famous sheikhs of the Shafi'i Madhab, Ibn Hajar. There's a story that says that Ibn Hajar means stone, and his nickname was the son of the stone, Ibn Hajar. Ibn Hajar was one day, he was studying, and in the beginning he found it extremely difficult to learn the knowledge. And one day he was reading his book, trying to study, trying to memorize. He couldn't memorize. So a khatir, a whisper came to him to give up. Leave this knowledge, not for you. And he looked, and he saw that there was a well, and the well there was a rope. And what had happened was the rope had actually worn down the rock of the well, at the side of the well where the rope was. It worn away. Not the rope, but the stone. And he looked at it and said, SubhanAllah, how this rope? The rope is weaker than the stone. The stone is stronger than the rope. But continue, keep going. And then, athar. So he looked at that and said, SubhanAllah. One narration has that he was sitting and he was looking at an ant. And this ant was picking up a piece of food and trying to, it's quite heavy. And ants, SubhanAllah, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah does not burden us all more than we can take. An ant can carry a weight, several times bigger than its own weight. Actually, the bodybuilders, but naturally. And this ant was trying to pick up this piece of food, and he kept on dropping it, but he picked it up, he kept on dropping, and he walked a little bit, and picked it up, and walked and dropped it, until at the end, for a long while, he got it and then he threw it into the ant's nest and got in. And he says, SubhanAllah, how this ant, for a piece of food, this ant, didn't give up. Who should I be? Better than the ant and continue. So he picked up his book that he put down, and he continued, and he became known as Ibn Hajar. If you go on the first narration of the stone and the rock, the stone and the rope, Ibn Hajar. Many different stories. Allah puts this as a test. Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it difficult for you to test you how sincere. Some people are not. If you're sincere, you'll continue. You won't throw the towel in. Until at the end where you've tried everything, you've tried your best, and the door's closed, you move on. Move away, do something else. But never throw the towel in. Keep going. Weakness of Iman. Right?
10. Long hopes. Long hopes are extremely blameworthy.
You understand what I mean by long hopes? You understand? Long hopes. A good example. Oh, subhanAllah. I'm going to live till, when I live, I'll start coming to the mosque. When I get older, I'll start coming to the mosque. When I get married, I'll stop doing haram things. I'll start praying when I get older, when I'm retired. These are long hopes.
Long hopes are extremely blameworthy. They lead one to look for prosperity of his worldly life at the expense of ruining his hereafter. The Messenger of God said, the first folk among this nation will be saved by detachment from this world and short hopes, while the last will perish by greed for this world and long hopes. And he said, Sallallahu Alaihi, 4 things are of wretchedness: dry eyes, hardness of the heart, greedy long hopes. The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam prayed, I seek your protection from every hope that may distract me. Ali Karramallahu Wajh said, what I fear most for you is that you follow your passions and have long hopes. Following passion repels from the truth, and having long hopes causes you to forget the hereafter. It is a maxim that he who hopes are long, and his works are bad. To harbour long hopes is to feel secure that you will remain in this world for a very long time. It shows an excessive foolishness and extreme stupidity.
No one's going to live in this world forever. Nobody's going to live. Who wants to live forever anyway? That's what they say. Well, that's what a sign. I'm going to live for a long time. Never thought of anything of death. And when death comes, people get shocked. People end up having nervous breakdowns and psychological problems and so forth, need therapy. They never thought about it. Why? Because they think they're going to live forever. Muslim, death. And to death, the experience of death in the Muslims is very different to the experience of death for people who aren't Muslim or people who have weak faith. You see it, a person of faith, death, it makes him stronger. A person of faith, Iman, will be increased by death. Why? Because his influence has been removed and he's remembering things.
Are you certain you will live until morning? Or if you say to him in the morning, are you certain you will live until the evening? He will say no. Still he works for this world as if he is never to die.
SubhanAllah. Are you certain you're going to live to the morning? Are you certain you're going to live to the evening? Are you certain you're going to live to break your fast? Now we've all prepared food, we go home, dates and food and so forth, and we've got our clothes ready and whatever for Eid. Maybe getting ready to go home, these type of things. You're not even certain you're going to live to the night. You're not even certain that you're going to live to the end of the class. We ask Allah that Allah make us live as long as living is good for us. And inshallah, it's a hadith. It's a saying it's a hadith as well. It's a hadith. Allah make us live as long as living is good for us. And if living is not good for us, then Allah take us in the best states. That's towards the end of time, subhanAllah, when the Dajjal comes, people are going to wish that their souls have been taken away. There's a fitna. Because many people, many Muslims will leave the deen. Millions of people will leave this religion when the Dajjal comes. And will follow him.
What can be more foolish than that? Furthermore, long hopes are the root of a number of evil character traits and acts which hinder obedience of God's commands and invite to sin. Examples of this are avidity, avarice, and the fear of poverty. Among the worst are finding comfort in this world, working to improve one's lot, and striving to amass its debris. He has said, many blessings and peace be upon him. I will send for the ruin of this world. He who makes it prosper is not of me. Long hopes bring about procrastination, which is the most sterile thing.
Procrastination, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll start practicing tomorrow. I'll fast next year. I'll go to Hajj. I'll leave my girlfriend tomorrow. I'll start. I promise next time. I won't do it next time. This is procrastination.
It is said that most of the woeful howling of the people of the fire is due to their procrastination. For he who procrastinates is ever lazy in obedience, slow in repentance until death overtakes him. Then he will say, O Lord, were you to only require me for a short time?
فيقول ربي لولا أخرتني إلى أجل قريب فأصدق وأكون من الصالحين.
That I give charity and be one of the righteous.
People in hell, like I told you yesterday, people in the next world, there's people now in their graves. They wish, you see what? Come back to the dunya. To do what? Have more money. To live out their fantasies. To go back and eat something and do something and see friends. They want to go back to worship Allah. Go back and do one rak'ah. To go back and do one rak'ah. One good deed. One sadaqah. One prayer. Even one tasbih. Just go back to La ilaha illallah. Because the reward. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. They want, that's what they want. And that's why they have, if they, because in the reality of the grave, they'll see that all these things we take, you and I take for granted, of coming, rak'atayn tarawih, rak'atayn witr, reading the Quran, these things, saying the word subhanallah, alhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah, Allahu akbar, these things, trees are planted. Sometimes we hear these things, these sayings, in the khutbahs and classes, and we realize, when we say subhanallah, alhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah, Allahu akbar, trees are being planted. The verses of the Quran, each verse, each letter is a reward, and in Ramadan those rewards are multiplied. We forget these things. But Allah Azza wa Jalla doesn't forget. And when in the grave you see all these things. Oh, all these things I took for granted. All these things I just, all I had to do was say, subhanallah. And boom, a tree. Subhanallah. If I was to say to you, if I was to say, in your countries, in Malaysia, every time, while you're here in England, every time you say the words subhanallah, a tree gets planted for you in Malaysia, palm tree. Or every time you say alhamdulillah, you get a car. You see it. And all you have to say is alhamdulillah. Yeah. Or every time you did a good deed, a house gets built for you in Malaysia, or in Pakistan, or in Yemen, or in Liverpool, or whatever. All I have to say is alhamdulillah. All I'm going to do is pray. Oh, is that it? Okay. But a lot of your time will be, if not all your time, subhanallah, alhamdulillah, you haven't got time to even discussions with people saying this is bid'ah. We forget I haven't got time for you go down. Oh my Lord. People are nasty, yeah. People are asleep. When they die, they wake up. And in the grave, so these things, that's why the people in the grave, they're jealous of the people who are alive because they want to get back. And that's why the shaheed, his wish is to come what? To come back and die several times. Because you see all the things that he's getting. These things we take for granted. Take for granted. Move your tongue and you get a tree. Pick up something, you get a palace in heaven. Greater than that is loving the Prophet. You gain closeness to the Prophet. And that you'll taste heaven here before there. You taste Jannah here before you taste Jannah over there. And I love that a lot of the awliya, salihin, they're in this world tasting heaven already. Because they're worshipping Allah. That's why some people in this world they die. In this world they die out of love and yearning for Allah and for His Messenger. People die. And some ulama put them as the highest levels of shaheed, of the shuhada, of the martyrs, those who die out of love for Allah. They died on their beds, but they risen up with the martyrs. Khalid bin Walid, he died in the battlefield? No. Khalid bin Walid died on his bed. And he had sorrow in his heart, he didn't die in the battlefield. But Khalid bin Walid will be in the front lines of the Prophet and going into heaven. Allah gives understanding. Allah give us understanding in our hearts, inshallah. How many people will have understanding?
Furthermore, long hopes are the root of remedial character traits, which hinder obedience. Amongst the worst are finding confidence for working to improve one's lot and striving to master steadily. Long hopes bring about procrastination. For he who procrastinates is ever lazy in obedience. The procrastinator leaves his world with endless sorrow and limitless regret. O my brother, show me your hopes. and let your hands stand before your eyes and your hope behind your back. Seek help in this by remembering the defeater of pleasures in abundance, the disperser of companions. Reflect on those who have preceded you, relatives and acquaintances who have passed on. Bring to mind just how near death is, what is the nearest thing lying in wait. Be ready for it, expect its pouncing upon you any time. The Messenger of God
even saying the words Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad, the hadith mentioned in the khutbah, Ba'uda, man fukurtu indu, wa lam salli alayhi. Far is the one who, when I mentioned, I didn't say Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad, Sharif. Ba'uda, man fukurtu indu, wa lam salli alayhi. Far is the one who does not mention, does not say Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad, when my name is mentioned. So say it and you become close. You become close. Many things, many things we don't take notice of. Until it's too late, then we wake up and then we realize all these acts that didn't take much. Really. Allah. And that's why in Ramadan, if you're not going to be forgiven in Ramadan, what hope do you have of being forgiven? Allah, when everything multiplied 10 times, 70 times, doors are open, doors of heaven are open, things are multiplied, deeds are easy to do. Allah is basically, the doors of heaven are open for you to go inside heaven, for you to enter into heaven. And then what happens? They're closed. And then come back. You've got 30 days now to get yourself into heaven. And Allah is saying, every night, Allah forgives people, frees them from the hellfire. Every night. And on the last night, Allah frees the same amount that He freed all through the 28 or 29 or 30 days. And the last night He frees that amount of number of people. What else do you want? What else? Just throw yourself in. Get up. It doesn't take much. That's why the previous nations on the Day of Judgment, when they see a person from this ummah entering into hell, they say, SubhanAllah. How did that person even go to hell? In his wudu, he's forgiven. When he gets up to the mosque, he's forgiven. When he reads Quran, he's forgiven. He has Yawm Arafah, previous sins are forgiven. Next year's sins are forgiven. Fasting, whoever seeks out Ramadan and prays and has Iman, his previous sins and upcoming sins are forgiven. Many opportunities for sins to be forgiven. He's still going to enter into hell by your sins. And that's why the previous nations, the Jews and so on, they say, SubhanAllah, this person deserves to go to hell because we never had these opportunities that they had because they were from the nation of the Prophet. Allah has given this nation, because of His love for the Prophet, many openings, many rahmat. Really, SubhanAllah. Also, if you enter into hell, don't blame anybody but yourself. Don't even blame shaitan. Don't blame shaitan. What are you going to do? The shayateen in Ramadan locked up. And people realize that a lot of the evil they do is not from shaitan, it's from their own selves. The Ramadan, who are you going to blame now? The devil made me do it. Oh, shaitan, all locked up. It's only you. And that's why you realize how your state, where you really are. If you find that the same haram thing you were doing before Ramadan, you're doing inside of Ramadan, shaitan, blame shaitan. Yawm al-Qiyamah, that's it wasn't me, it was you. That's Ramadan. And that's why Ramadan, more good deeds that you're able to do because you're hungry, control your nafs. All about the nafs. Control your nafs, you do good deeds. You do good deeds, your heart becomes enlightened. When your heart becomes enlightened, the heart is the vehicle where you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not by your mind, by the heart. Which is why when someone's in sujood, the closest you can be to Allah is in sujood. The closest you can be to Allah is sujood, as the hadith says. And if you look at the heart and the mind, the mind, when you sujood, your head, your interest on the ground and your heart lifted up. It's only when you elevate your heart over the mind and give your heart more time and give it more importance and you listen more to your heart over your mind, that's when you can truly become close to Allah. It's only when your heart is elevated above your mind you can become closer to Allah, because the mind is limited and the heart is open. The heart can take, but the mind can understand Allah has no beginning, has no end. Well, has no beginning, no end, but the heart can believe it. The mind might not understand it, but the heart will tell the mind, believe it. The heart will listen to it, if the heart is strong.
by he in whose hand is my soul. I never raised my eyes thinking I would know them before my soul is taken, nor have I ever eaten a morsel thinking I would swallow it without choking because of death. Sometimes he sallallahu alayhi rubbed the wall for tayammum, and when it was said to him sallallahu alayhi, water is near, he replied, how do I know I will ever reach it?
This is a arif, someone who knows Allah. This is someone living in the now. I don't know if I'm going to live till tomorrow. Water's over there, and he wipes. Now, in terms of fiqh issues, it's something else. But in terms of the meaning here, the ma'na, the ma'na is very strong. The meaning is very strong. The lesson is very strong. Well, how do you time to even go up there and deal with them and come back? Wipe the wall and pray. And then, if you've got time, then you go and deal with them if you're still alive. That's the understanding.
As-Sadiq, may Allah be pleased with him, used to recite, every man wakes up in his home with death nearer to him than the laces of his sandals. The proof of Islam.
Hujjat al-Islam, Imam Abd Alawi.
May Allah have mercy on him. Wrote, know that death does not pounce at a specific time, situation or age, but it is certain to pounce, therefore preparing for it has priority over preparing for this world.
And that's something, the only true certainty that we share, irrespective of what faith, what religion we are, we all share one true truth, and we all have faith in one thing. We may not have faith in God, but we all have faith, all of us, Muslim and non-Muslim, in one thing only, we're all going to die. We're all going to die. No one has lived forever. No one yet has ever lived forever, and no one will. Yes, people will live for long times, but eventually they all have an end. This is something even non-Muslims, they have, and they know. And depending on how much they want to listen to the hearts, will depend on how well they're going to be prepared, and how well you and I, inshallah, will be prepared in this world. So, how many arguments could have been diverted, and how many problems and issues could have been left aside if we remembered, look, is this going to benefit me in the grave? This argument, I'm going to get myself into an argument or get myself into a debate or go down this route. Is this going to be any benefit to me in my grave? Is this going to help me? Is this going to bring me closer to Allah? Or is it going to bring the person closer to Allah? Most times we think, yes. Sometimes we don't even think about it. A lot of times nafs, arguing, cause problems. A lot of times putting our nafs there, in front. The nafs doesn't need to be there. This book in Arabic called Risalat al-Mudhakara. The book, or the epistle of al-Mudhakara, to mutual reminding, as it's probably translated to al-Mudhakara. Reminding himself and reminding you. Very small, very powerful. This book, these books and books like them have to be read every 7 months by yourselves. And then you'll find something new that you didn't pick up on. You find that something happened to you recently, and maybe something's happened to you recently, and some of these lines are like, oh, subhanAllah, that got me there, yes. And only when you keep on reading these books that the meanings become second nature to you, and you start thinking along the lines. That's why the ulama, Sunnah wal Jama'ah, Imam Abd, for example, these books of Imam Abd Alawi and Imam Ghazali, they're always, every day they're reading it. They say that Imam Ghazali's Ihya, that some ulama read a section of it a day, and in a month they'll finish the whole book. They do it to 30 juz. 30 juz. Not that the Ihya is the Quran, obviously. No, not the Ihya is not the Quran. But some ulama say, after the Quran, the Ihya is the book they read the most. Ihya al-Ulumuddin, very powerful. And Ihya al-Ulumuddin, like this book. This book is a taster for the Ihya. The books of Imam Abd Alawi are things that you taste. If you like what you like, if you want more, and the main meal is the Ihya. Ihya al-Ulumuddin. You go there and you find more detail. You can't read the Ihya al-Ulumuddin and not feel fear in your heart, or love of Allah, or love of mercy, or wanting to be close to Allah. Because the Ihya al-Ulumuddin in particular, it reveals to you your weaknesses. And that's why subhanAllah, the ulama have said that the ulama al-dunya, ulama al-su, the ulama of this world, because there's two types of scholars, ulama al-dunya, ulama al-akhirah, the ulama of this world and the ulama of the next world. What's the difference? Well, we talk about this in Bidayat al-Hidayah. But a sign of the ulama of this world is that they'll dislike the books of tazkiyah, the books of ihsan, the books of purifying your nafs. And the books of Imam al-Ghazali, takes no prisoners, killed. And people, his book explains to you things about yourself that many of us are not ready to even hear. He'll reveal to you, look, you do this, you do this, you do this. You know why? Because of this, this, and that. You know why? Because you're doing it for showing off. And you realize, subhanAllah. And some of us may even realize that many good deeds we're doing for many years, a lot of the time showing off. His chapter on Riyah, very, very powerful. When we used to study with Habib Umar, we used to feel like we used to finish the class depressed. It's powerful. And these are people who are locked up in the building. They don't go out anywhere, there's no TV, there's no dunya. They're just worshipping Allah and studying and and they don't feel this power. There's no hope for us. Not in the sense of despair, but how wretched. And Imam Ghazali does that to you. It takes a sincere person to want to hear that. And it takes an even more sincere person to want to act by that and to cure himself. And that's why ulama al-akhirah love Imam Ghazali's books, because he criticizes, not in a very harsh way, but he reveals to you in a very subtle way, very beautiful way. He reveals to you your bad qualities and where you're going wrong. Now, ulama al-dunya, they don't like to be told that they're wrong. They like to know that their teaching circles, might be causing them to enter into hell. They like to be told that their recitation or the hadith or whatever else they're doing is all for nothing. They like to be told that they're doing wrong. They like to be told they're doing right. And you read the book of Tawakkul and you realize how far. Or his chapter on dunya. Ghazali has a whole chapter on dunya. That's why if you guys have the copies of Ihya, read it inshallah. Read the Ihya. In English, a lot of it's being translated, and I've been told it's all been translated and yet to be published. I think the first book, Muhtahamd. He's translated all.
There's a translation by some Pakistani players.
Isn't that good, unfortunately? But Muhtahamd, he's finished, he's passed away. But his translation is finished, and the first volume will be released, I think, by next year.
Timothy Winters translated books of it.
There's a book called, I recommend to get it. Write this book down. It's called Religious Councils by Imam Haddad. Basically, it's a summary of the Ihya al-Ulum. It's called Religious Councils. Religious Councils. It's a summary of the Ihya. What Imam Haddad did, he summarized Ihya into one big book. And it's been translated, alhamdulillah. I'm very surprised, very happy to see it. Have you heard of it? Nasaih al-Diniyya. Nasaih al-Diniyya, it's been translated. Mr. Badwi. It's a book that our teachers will read to read. It will take a long time. It will take a year to study it. They say it's the ha of the Ihya. It's the ha of the Ihya. Religious councils. Inshallah, maybe we'll do that. Inshallah. Any questions? Any questions from the women? Or any questions from the men?